bids on all the different different repairs, and their contractor got here a day early. And by the way, the front gate does work because the contractor got here a day early, and I didn't answer the phone, and they wouldn't allow him in. They said he sat there for a couple minutes and drove off, and yet he magically produced a bid that looked and pictures that looked a lot like the pictures I took of the house. He said it was a little 3-foot section of gutters that was damaged, where he didn't take into account the 69 feet of gutter down the side of the house that was banged up, and the fact they were painted. And anyway, it's a long story. I mean, it got to the point where either take my settlement or we'll see you in court. And as many of you know, backing me into a corner is really not a good thing to do.
No.
So we, Kim has been working with them, and they have finally agreed to settle. As an aside, even though this person is not a member of the Better Business Bureau, I did file a complaint on them with the Better Business Bureau because they listed them with an A+ rating, and that actually was the spur that got him moving, because apparently that A+ rating meant a lot to him, because part of this settlement is, I will say, it was satisfactorily settled.
It actually almost derailed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
because he said, he did that, and I've never had a complaint in 28 years. And that was part why the condition was, okay, if you'll agree to that, he'll agree to that, you'll be happy.
But I mean, he was wrong, and you know, and then I talked to a couple of attorneys, and they said, yeah, you can get a settlement, or you can get a judgment. Good luck on collecting.
Yeah.
So
But typically, and unfortunately, damage does occur by contractors. That's why we have their insurance and everything else, and we don't release funds until everything's taken care of. So.
And I would have done this exactly the same if it had been one of your houses, or my house. It was still a association issue, and we were holding the funds until it was settled, until it was satisfactorily repaired.
Is that the guy that's going to do mine? If he's got a
No.
garage?
Well,
Actually,
no, we're actually going to get Ryan's to come back and do the couple of trees that were missed.
Yeah. No, Ryan's actually, Ryan's did the last tree trimming, it's amazing watching the guy. He's up there on a ladder, he's about 20 feet up in the air. He hooks his leg around the palm tree. He takes his chainsaw, he saws a seed pod, and he's got a hold of it too somehow, until it starts getting a little bit wobbly. Then he takes that big old seed pod and wraps it underneath his arm on the outside, and then he finishes with the saw until it goes to the seed pod, and then he drops it to the ground. Amazing the acrobatics of this guy. I said it wasn't worth it for me to climb this tree and fall off of it. Okay, moving on with unfinished business. Determine who is the 1- and 2-year director's term. I actually have talked to Dennis and Jenny about this, and I make a motion to approve Dennis Hawk to the 2-year term as director.
Second.
Okay. Any board discussion? Any resident comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. And approve Virginia Freund to the 1-year term as director.
Second.
Any board discussion? Any resident comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then mailbox printing.
Well, how about approving Roy?
Oh, that's going to be new
Okay,
business.
Okay.
Okay. To fill the vacancy, because that wasn't on the last one. She has a little bit different thing than I do.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
that should have been, that's fine.
okay, we'll put this. It's in new business. Mailbox printing.
Painting.
Painting. Yes. Okay. First, we have a motion on the floor. We need a second to discuss it.
What's the motion?
Well, apparently there's unfinished business about mailbox painting.
It was, but there is no motion.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Just a discussion? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you my take on mailbox printing and painting. I'll get it straight in a minute. HP is going through the same issue right now because of the Pines newspaper. They say it's so hard to roll it up and put it in the tubes. So they're talking about replacing all the circular tubes on the bottom of the mailboxes with a square tube. And I have an issue with that because of the expense involved. Recently, in the past year, the people who lived across the street from me accidentally backed into the mailbox, a twin mailbox. And so I went and, the only reason I noticed it, lucky me again, is because the mailboxes were bent. And it didn't look, they weren't twisted, but the mailboxes themselves were bent, were dented up. So then they saw me looking at it and said, oh yeah, we backed into them, sorry, whatever it takes to get it fixed. So I looked at it, I said, just changing out the mailboxes, how much is that gonna be? So I took the two mailboxes off. Well, taking those off, there's a little wooden plate that sits on top of the two face plates. Well, that wooden plate was rotted. Okay, a little piece of wood there. So I take that off. Well, guess what? Those big face plates are rotted too. And they are rotted all the way through. So I had to replace those two face plates. So the only thing I had left in the original mailbox was the post. Okay, and the post, as I was repairing it, the top part decided to fall off. I had to put that back on. It cost me $70-something to do all the work myself. The fear I have of painting the mailboxes, I don't have a problem with. I do have a problem with doing, if we damage these mailboxes in any way, like we take the mailboxes off to do the painting of the face plates inside and out, we may not be able to get them back on. And then the residents come in. It worked fine before, and now it doesn't work. You got to replace it. So.
You're talking about having the association paint them, or?
Why don't we replace them? These things are rotted.
Well, mine, I just did mine. I just did Jim's and mine. I took the mailboxes off, painted those. That underneath that piece of wood, it wasn't rotten. Mine was okay. I just put a few more screws in it because it was kind of wobbly, and I screwed the big things in, and I put a few more screws in and painted it in art, and then put new numbers on it. I got the numbers here, put new numbers on them, and it was. Ours are probably fine. I don't know. Some may be fine. Some may not.
Well,
be.
mine was rotted through. In fact, the screws that held the plate on there,
They were rusty.
rusty. You couldn't recognize them as screws. I've seen bobby pins that were bigger than these.
Well, I put new screws, but yeah.
So,
We just had ours replaced, it was fine.
$45. You just because it was leaking. The box was leaking.
the mailbox or the entire structure?
No, the mailbox.
The box.
Okay, yeah, just the box. Yes.
$45 installed.
Well,
he did it. Okay, so it's fine.
Actually, the mailbox I got, they're $20 a piece.
Well, this was-
But the problem is that when you start, if you change out just the mailboxes, well, we're talking about painting the. I'm presuming that the mailbox painting is talking about the entire structure.
Right.
The face plates, the post, the mailboxes themselves. There is a guy, Bob Johnson, down the street that does mailbox repair.
I
Roy
don't
knows
think he
him.
does them anymore.
Okay,
I could be wrong, but
he was on a twin. It's $180.
He did mine,
Okay.
but that brings up a question. What color are they supposed to be, the posts?
It's a darker brown.
Each village can,
Has
there's three
three
allowed
colors.
Yeah.
heritage piles, and
by the
each village is
architecture
supposed
control.
to adopt a specific color.
You know what colors they are?
I was reading something,
It's either black,
It said
that
flat-
funny green,
flat
or
black.
brown.
Brown, right.
but there's more than black?
There are three
Yeah,
colors.
there's a brown,
Okay.
there's a dark brown
And there's
color.
a, almost like a kind of brownish green,
Green, right.
Yeah.
a little bit. I'm not sure, it was briefly talked about and then said we'll talk about it next meeting, but and I think it was because you wanted to have a full board, try to have a full board. I think the intent was that, I could be wrong, when the mowers kind of, nick it at the bottom or something like that, is just to, I'm gonna say superficially paint it on the outside, not doing any repairs, not doing anything else. I don't know if I'm misconstruing it or not. I do have another village, what they do is they get a couple of gallons of paint and they get some volunteers and they go up and
Yeah,
down the
that-
street and they just touch up what needs to be and then they're done with it, and then they all look better. But that's what they've done, so I didn't know, maybe that was what you were after.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's-
real sure, but I don't think you really wanna get into
Yeah, I
anything
don't,
beyond, I don't think you wanna take the mailboxes off. If
No,
you paint
no.
it, paint what's there in place.
Yeah,
I think you'll get a can of worms.
What about the mailboxes or posts that need to be painted? At least, I walk up and down and I'm saying, this looks terrible, like,
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
I
what
think
I'm
we're
saying.
talking about,
Get
is
some-
just those.
get some volunteers and just,
Couple gallons of paint.
yeah, and just,
We'll have a painting party and have
Yeah.
beer after.
Yeah.
But some people don't.
Beer after, beer during.
Some people don't do anything, and some people do everything.
That's his wife.
And
Welcome to the world.
Such is
I agree. Some people, they're happy with what they have, and other people are fastidious about keeping everything just like they
but
want it.
if you
just
have a
like it should
house
be.
that needs to be painted, and they need mulch, and
Well-
their mailbox is dilapidated, and who's supposed to?
They are.
Well, then you would think
HPCA?
you would think HP would send them a
Well, what
letter
are
and
they
say,
doing?
fix
They're
it.
not doing their job. then.
Yes, well, HB does do a drive around of the villages. Barbara, if she sees something, she can report it to the ACC, or she can report it to the staff at the front, because they do drive-arounds and they look for things that are deficient. And if they see a deficiency, the owner will get it. Amazingly, the funders and I have the same mailbox. He got a letter because his mailbox needed painting and I didn't. But now it's all taken care of now. But so you don't know the rhyme or reason of what they do, but the Architectural Control Committee does travel around looking for deficiencies in the communities.
Not the committee, it's supposed to be the staff.
Well, the staff does, but the committee can too. They can go out there and review it.
It used to be the committee was doing that, but then I think
Yeah, they changed.
they stopped doing that.
So is there going to be some sort of letter sent out and asking the residents if they want, I have a new mailbox, I don't want it painted.
Yeah, I agree. I just got through repairing mine.
Right,
One of the big issues is those numbers on the front.
right.
I mean, that is, now luckily up here they have numbers now, but you gotta scrape off all the old, and that's an expense. It's only $1.25 per house
Right.
for 5 letters, or 5 numbers.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is, and it's really not too hard to do. It takes a little bit of time. I know with mine, that when they cut them, they didn't cut them square. So when you get these numbers, when you get the numbers up here, there, you try and line them up with I take a yardstick and stick it across there and clamp it in place, and then I had to trim the numbers exactly square across the
Are
bottom.
those, the stick-on numbers?
Yes, they are
Okay,
stick-ons.
because there is a hand in Scenic View,
She put them on
which
upside
is
down.
Village 31, that makes the plastic ones. And you can get, and they're really reasonable, you know the ones that they originally had on there?
Yeah,
That he does those.
I price those out. They're like $10 a
No,
set.
no, he does them
Okay,
here, and
okay.
he's offering them.
Okay.
And then there's somebody in Pine Ridge that does them as well.
I was the last price I got, and it was about $10 a set.
Where
That's
did you
why I
get
think the two of
your,
them started doing it.
where did you get your letters?
The number's right at the front desk.
Front desk, right here.
No,
in
the
office.
letters you have on are,
Oh, on my name tag?
yeah.
Oh, that my uncle gave me that box. He was in the printing business when he gave me those, and so I sanded it all down, repainted it black, put the 3D numbers and
Those
letters
are
on there.
nice. Those numbers are nice.
So.
Very
Hey
good.
Bart, was there any consideration about the flag holders on the post?
Oh, and I'm glad you brought that. Yes, yes, there is.
It would make it a little easier for me, and
yeah.
sticking them in the ground a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, that's one of those. Do we start drilling into somebody's mailbox post and?
Well, you'd have to,
I know. Yes, we are looking at that. I've thought about that when the flags came out.
Put that on the
Yes.
minutes for next month.
For an agenda for the next month.
To put, to look at the cost of the three
Three
flag
con-
holders to go on the mailbox on the street side, so you can come by and just put boom, 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 3 of the flags in it.
Don't have to be 3, it can be 2, even though you get a 3.
Okay, oh.
I think they only come as a 3 flag holder.
Okay,
Yeah.
But
okay.
you can put 2.
I did see what other villages are doing. They've taken an eye bolt, a little screw-in eye bolt. They screw it into the post, which is big enough for the flag to go in, and they put a nail at the bottom. And and the flag sits right there. You just drop it into that, and it sits right there.
You can do that with a cable tie. I did it on our mailbox, Jim's and mine, with a cable tie.
Yeah.
Screwed it, and put a nail at the bottom, and I just slid it in there.
Okay. Well, we'll bring this up to the next. Let's see. The next one will be it'll be July. We'll have July the 4th
I'm
thing.
here anyway.
Huh? Okay.
I want to thank Walt for putting
Yes.
that
Oh,
together.
yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
those
How
are
much
great.
do those things
The
cost,
next
Walt?
one will be, I would say, I assume about $4 a pop.
Yeah.
Okay, so 30-some mailboxes.
Probably if you bought
So 100
enough of them.
130, 40 bucks, something like that.
Whatever happened to the mailbox that the architectural review was
looking
had
at.
it.
Oh.
Sample of.
It was too expensive. It was $300 to $400 a pop.
It is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, who wants to volunteer that 300 or 400? Well, let's see, we got 74 homes. Who wants to volunteer $21,000? No, they were way too expensive. They decided the architectural control. I was actually liaisons at the time for architectural control, and they had decided this is way too expensive.
It is, okay.
Also, there was an issue with weed eaters and the bottom of the post. It was chewing them up. So it just like the wooden post. So they were not approved.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on to new business, and I would like to make a motion to approve Roy Barbarino to fill a vacated director's position for the balance of the term of that director, which will be March of 2016. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any board discussion?
No.
Any residents' comments? Moving on, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roy, would you come up and take your position, please?
Nobody else has to take the position.
Welcome to the board.
Sit wherever you want.
Okay, and our final agenda item is discussion about sprinkler head replacement. Kim has gotten us some prices on this.
That's gonna be expensive.
I would imagine.
I've got,
Here's the minute.
where is it that I've
That's
got?
the, he's on one of the very last page of it.
Stansberry has gotten a quote. We will go out, it will be more detailed than just Stansberry doing a quote because Stansberry believes in doing it all first class, and that works fine. But these heads they're pricing out are at $10 to $12 a piece. And each home has 30 to 40 heads. That's kind of steep.
What is the purpose of this? I don't understand.
The current heads are 4-inch heads, and the grass has grown up now. It's gotten tall enough. If you look when they do the lawn trimming, they are trying to excavate around the head so the water can actually come up. And the 4-inch heads do not get up above the grass line. That's why they're having to excavate as much as they do. If they had the 6-inch heads, they would pop up higher than the grass line, so they would not have to excavate as much. It wouldn't look like your yard got hit by a B-52.
Put a 2-inch extension on them. That's what I did.
It's
I know what you're talking about, but why can't you take the heads you had and put a 2-inch extension on the bottom?
On the bottom of them.
Yeah, I did that to my whole yard.
We have laws also.
I think they cost $0.25
okay.
at Home Depot.
Talk to him about that.
Yeah,
All right.
just take the screw,
Okay,
that extension thing
wasn't
on
aware
and
of
then
that.
screw it back.
That's
Piece of
But-
cake.
There's some
good suggestion.
good and
I think the
bad
current
comments.
heads are rainbird heads, and I don't know what they were looking. Well, you've seen the ones they were replaced with right now. When they're replaced right now, it's like $13 a piece.
Mine are Nelson. I replaced all the heads in mine
So
at
if
the same time.
they could, that's a good thought. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, we can talk to him about that. One of the things, and I'm not being critical because I know you're doing it to try and help, one of the things that can be a big concern, if someone does replace their own and they don't replace it with the same thing, you can affect the pressure on adjacent or other things. If you have 14 heads and you have
Well-
2 gallon a minute heads and you replace them with 3 gallon a minute heads,
Correct.
you can actually
Yes.
distort the system. So we want to be careful about someone helping by doing something that might affect other
Yeah,
areas
but
of the
when the
system.
wells were installed, they restricted how much water a head could dispense per minute.
Right.
And I remember one house they had put a bigger flow head on there, intentionally, unintentionally. I don't know. I remember when that happened, and they had to change out their heads because they jeopardized that the wells at the time were brand new, and they jeopardized. Swift Mud could have walked in and says, "Okay, your wells are shut down." And but this is a real good idea. All this is just an extension, probably pretty economical. The biggest cost of this would be the labor factor of
Digging them
getting-
all up.
getting them out there and.
$600 a house, that would be
That's a lot.
$30,000.
It's
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yes, it would. No,
I have a
actually,
discussion item.
And
at
then you,
$600 a house, it'd be 42 grand.
and then you only have to do those that are in the grass.
And
You
that-
don't have
that
to
was
do
the
all
intent,
Yes.
all the ones
only
that are in the,
Right, yes, the ones that are the
Landscaping.
flower beds and all. So I think it could be reduced down.
And we did tell them a while ago to go ahead and, when they are replacing the ones in the grass, to use the 6-inch heads. So little by little, they're being done anyway, but not, the majority of them aren't being done, but there are some being done.
I don't notice, and I walk the neighborhood every day, I don't notice anybody's lawn that's like brown anywhere. I think if they're continuing to change the heads out when they go to 4-inch heads to 6-inch heads, let's do it as it goes along versus spending
Right.
40 some, or even if it's $30,000 or $20,000.
But, this is at 25 cents a head, you know, plus labor, you may be spending a couple grand to do this versus, I mean,
How did you get to that number? Where?
25, he said
No, he's saying
25
if
cents.
he
Oh,
just
for
did
the
the
two extensions. Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
We
well,
can-
yeah,
yeah, we
that's a
can-
different.
The biggest part would be the labor factor, but rather than having these excavated holes in your yard, the yards look real good until you get over one of these excavated holes, you go, Jesus.
Now, the 4-inch head, does it pop up 4 inches and a 6-inch head pops up 6 inches?
Yes.
Yes.
So wherever it is,
That-
yeah, you have 4 inches up, or wherever it is, you have 6 inches.
That's if you actually unscrew one of these
Yeah.
heads, it's an assembly. It has
Yeah,
a valve that shoots up
So
inside
if
of it.
you're-
2 inches plus, yeah, they,
So
If you put the extension on now, is that gonna hold it up?
is that the 2
Yeah,
inches?
it'll hold it up
that'll
2
hold the
inches.
4
I
inches
understand
up?
that, but will it also drop down? So when they come over with the
Well,
lawnmower, it's not gonna be?
Yeah, because it's still dropping down below where the grass line is right now. The grass they're cutting.
that one.
a 6-inch extension will raise it 2 inches anyway,
I understand that,
the whole
yeah.
thing.
And it is, I
Because the next thing you
understand
know,
his
you have a
concern.
landscape
They're-
that's
they're-
gonna
If you get a chance when you go home, look at your
Because
sprinkler heads they just got through excavating some of them, and they're down pretty low. I mean, for the grass cutters to be able to run over them or to hit them with the blades, they'd have to be cutting it'd be frog hair fine because it's probably a good 6 or 7 inches from the heads to the top of the grass right now.
Yeah, but I think what Walt was asking, if you put that 2-inch extension on, does it still go down that the head of the sprinkler
Yes.
is where it is, or does it
No,
hold it up?
it'll be
to
2 inches higher.
Be 2 inches
It'll
higher.
be 2 inches higher.
Same as a 6-inch head though.
You know,
Same
most
as a
of
6-inch head.
the heads that are on the lawns are not in at the same level as they are. Some of the holes are deep, so the darn head goes down more. Now, how are you going to control that? You may need a 3-inch extension on some of them and a 2-inch on others.
That's right.
And if
They're
I
saying
can-
right,
if I
right
can-
now,
it's
like
still
Bill
cheaper.
says, we have the grass all looks green. The 2-inch, raising it up 2 inches, it doesn't matter whether it's down a ½ inch deeper than another one. Raising it up 2 inches is
No.
going to allow the water to get up above the grass line and sprinkle it and irrigate the lawns.
The
Not-
thing
not
is
trying
for the level, for the mowers going over these sprinklers.
They're too
Some are
deep.
gonna be higher than the others.
I replaced all mine last year. I put all new sprinkler heads in. I used the 4-inch heads. And I put extensions on them so that I brought them up to a level so that they pop out high enough above the grass line at that time. And it's a piece of cake. It's nothing to it.
Yeah,
Most people in here could do it in a
They're
few
still significantly
afternoon.
lower than the
Jim,
grass
do you
cutting height.
maintain your own lawn?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know where the sprinkler heads are,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
You
what,
maintain your own lawn, and you got the landscapers coming in, they don't know whether it's a couple inches higher, a couple inches lower, there goes the sprinkler head, and then you got a problem.
No, I don't mow my own lawn.
No, you don't mow your
No,
lawn anymore.
they do it. And they
it-
break.
it's
The ones
these
they break
heads are
off
down
are my
pretty
brush heads that
significantly.
are along the edge. They take their mower and run over on the side and crack them right off. 'Cause I got brush heads that stand that high.
One of the things that, and I'm not just trying to put on information, not saying you should or shouldn't do this. One of the things that Sainsbury does when they do replace heads is right now you've got the main line and then you've got the head right into that. And it's solid, it's a solid connection. When they do it, they want to use flex pipe so that you've got the pipe here, you've got the flex pipe and then the sprinkler head, which they can maneuver where they need to. But it also, if something hits it, it gives it a little bit more give so that hopefully, eventually, like the mower damage
Oh,
and that
I'd
kind of
love
thing.
to have that.
Yes, and that, yeah,
So
and
that's
that's
what
one
they're
of the,
doing now, they're putting that flexi
They're
pipe
putting-
in there when they put the head in there.
No, they replaced one of mine. They didn't do it because that head that was crooked is crooked again.
well, okay, but they
Because the
typically,
pipe-
when they do, that's what they're doing is to allow it to have that give, so when the mowers run over it or something else, it has extra give, and you have a little bit of maneuverability. It's not just exactly where that pipe is. So when you decide whatever it is you're doing, that might be one of the things to consider is you want it rigid installed or with a flex pipe.
Okay.
Well, if they're doing flex pipe, why can't they, you don't have to put a 2-inch extension on it, you could just use the flex pipe
Mhm.
and put a 4-inch head up here, just,
Well, that's,
Position
there's
it higher
a
in-
couple of options
higher
that
in the
maybe
grass.
is another way, yeah.
That's right.
Well, we'll look into this a
Additional
little bit.
info.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, additional info, and this will be unfinished business in the next board meeting. We can discuss it a bit more. All right,
I have a question.
yes.
I don't recall hearing any financial report.
We actually
we
kind of,
Oh, yeah.
we talked about
He morphed
everything
out-
else,
yes,
but we
you're
didn't
right.
do that,
We
like
did-
to
he
read the
morphed
balances
out of
or
it.
anything.
Oh, the
So I don't know if
balances.
you wanna do that.
well, the
Remember when
check,
you morphed out of it?
yeah. Well, you could, I guess there's just, well, there's $40,000 in the one checking account, 14,000 in the other one, and 12,000 in the other one.
Well.
And, you go to, actually, it's in the board packet too.
Yeah, it's in
The,
April. Do you have the
the,
April one?
Yeah, his, it's behind the bank statement things, cause you all have it, I didn't put it in, yeah, keep going. You're in the April or the? which one's
April.
Okay, so keep going, go down a few more pages. There, that starts that's
Yeah.
the report.
That gives you your report. How much is in each account?
What are the three accounts? Why three?
We have a regular checking, a operating money market account, just to put some money in there so it's getting some interest, and then there's a reserve account. And,
Yeah, we got 42,005 as of April 30th. 42,500 in the operating account, and in the management account, 14,600, and the
not
reserve
management,
account.
money market.
Excuse me, money market account, and
That's it.
the
So-
reserve account 13,000.
Well, we have a total in the operating funds of 57,158.86 as of April the 30th. In reserves, we have 12,926.24. Okay, total assets of the community currently are at $75,097.83. Current liabilities, $86,013.86.
8,600.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 8,600. Okay.
Yeah. Reserves
Reserves are, we've already talked about reserves. Our total liabilities and equities, $75,097.83 minus $35.60.
Well, that's in May.
It is in here already?
No, that's in May.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That'll be in May.
But okay, yeah, and so we're in good shape financially, very good shape.
And
matter of fact, I
just
imagine
over your
Kim-
shoulder for a second.
Kim has some villages that wish that we were in as good a financial shape.
Yeah. And the vast majority of the wonderful financial condition you're in is because although you were one of the villages with the worst number of short sales foreclosures and all of that stuff, and for a while it was really, really tough, we fought and kicked and screamed, the attorney, myself, and to get everything we possibly could for the association, and those payoffs came in, and that's where those funds have accumulated from. So it was a lot of stubbornness and everything with the closings and the foreclosures and pushing it to get where we got. One other just note is, as far as your income to your expenses for 4 months through your budget year, you're within $1,500 of the budget, so you're in really good shape, and your income to your expenses is within $206 of each other, and you're well within budget and financial, just keeping on track this year.
Okay.
Is the tax return filed, Kim?
Yes, yes, they were filed way back.
having the houses painted, is there a cost figure someplace where how much everybody would have to pay every year, and then your house would be painted every 5 years?
I'll give you some history on that. Back when the village was first put together, there was a paint fund. I painted my house last year, it cost me $2,200. The way the money was accumulating, we would not have had enough funds to paint houses. Based on this, we voted the paint fund out. It is the responsibility of each owner to paint their house. Again, any exterior change, first to Barbara for approval, and then it goes to architectural control for final approval.
It was also because there were so many homes in foreclosure.
Yes.
You were
And we
funding-
did not want
Yeah, it
to
wasn't-
fund
there wasn't-
painting all of those homes as well.
Yeah, and I think,
Yeah, one time you had 11 homes that were not contributing
Out of
right away.
74.
11 out of 74.
We're gonna
You
have
had
fund
the
the
worst
reserve
time.
for all those houses.
Yep.
even though
So
they
the
weren't
turnaround
paid.
financially, for those who went through it, which most, several people in the room, it's huge, hugely different to where you are today.
Food for thought also, the reserve, if we end up not being able to use the pumps eventually, the wells, if they shut us down, we got food for thought for all that reserve money. That's
yeah, I think there was $8,000 put aside
There was.
for those two pumps.
Right.
Well,
As a reserve dedicated to those, and that means the community will have to unallocate those funds out of that reserve account.
yeah, there was specifically $8,800 set
Okay.
aside in the volunteer, no, but this is another thing besides the irrigation. We had already got everything set in place to direct connect your village to reclaimed water.
I remember, yeah.
When the CDD decided to do everyone, and you would have, right where that one well is, we were going straight to County Line Road, and you would have been on reclaimed water a year and a half ago.
Right.
Right.
And the CDD wouldn't give us the easement across because they wanted you to be part of the whole thing. So that money was set aside, and that was voluntary by the board to set that aside, so that can be reallocated to
Yeah.
something else.
We were just days away from it.
We were,
Yeah, it was,
yeah, it was,
again, that's only a 6-inch pipe, and you start, I think that's what the Lawrence on County Line Road.
it's larger than that, yeah.
It's a small pipe, and everybody, there was some villages that were hooked up to it, and I think you would have,
It's only one village.
well, there was one that was hooked up over here off of Grand Club,
That's not part of,
okay, but running water
you were on
in.
a direct, you
This
would have
was,
been a direct.
this was trying to connect into Lenora's hookup, so.
Yeah, that's
wasn't
a
legally
whole
done.
different- Yeah, that was at Pond 12, everything internally, this was direct connect to the county
County
and.
line.
But it was, the other village paid big bucks for that.
Do they use their own pumps or is it county pumps?
County.
And there's a new
County
system? So
Oh,
all,
No, the new system, the new system, the county pressurizes the line up to where it comes into our pump house. And then I think there's 3 dedicated pumps sitting in there that will pump the water out to different districts, different areas. But it's coming in and it's also gonna be doing a reduction of pressure too. Because the amount of pressure they're pumping it into us is gonna be much higher than our lines can handle.
also then your pumps shouldn't have to work hardly at all.
Hmm?
Or are they pumping it into a pond?
No, they won't be pumping into a pump. It's a direct feed from the county.
To
It's not to a pond,
Every single,
our pumps?
to our pumps.
are you
And
sure
our-
there are pumps in line?
No.
I don't know that they're doing, I thought it was direct.
I thought because they had to reduce the pressure down.
How would
They're
a pump
coming into
reduce
that pump house
pressure?
on number 5. But where I'm talking about is over here on hole number 5 is right here. There is a pump house right here at the end of this street, and they have 3 pumps inside of there. And I believe those are irrigation pumps for the golf course.
They are, I know that's for sure.
But the line is supposed to be coming in this way, from what I was told on the original drawings. It was to be coming in from the southern end of the property directly into this pump house here, and then from there for distribution. It could have changed.
The only reason I'm saying that is on Eagle, what is that, Edge Park, where Edge Park is,
Mm-hmm.
okay, near Grand Club, where that is, they came right from there, went to one of my villages that needed to get hooked up to reclaimed, and there's nothing to do with pumps or anything else, they're direct connecting it to the
Okay.
county line.
Yeah,
I
my
believe that
understanding
that
was
would
we
work
direct
better.
connect.
That's
That's
I
what
think that that's the
village-
way, that there
That's-
aren't gonna
that's
be any
good.
pumps involved.
I'd
So you don't
heard,
have any maintenance on it.
and just as you hear different information, I heard that section of pipe was going to be removed. that one that comes up there right by Grand Club in Edge Park.
Put that in.
I know that, and they just got to doing repairs, but they're doing some excavating behind there, which sort of lends the thought that they may want to bury that pipe in there rather than having it come up.
That's where you turn for Kevin.
So, just for appearance sakes.
So this water coming in, this reclaimed water, is not going to be controlled by Heritage Pines at all. It's going to be controlled by somebody outside
Pasco
that could
County.
shut us
Pasco
off at
County.
any time they want it. Is that true?
Yeah, but they got tons of water. No
Yeah, they got lots of water.
Yeah, we used to
And-
have lots of oil too.
No, no.
Well,
Keep flushing the toilet.
the
Can't, we don't have water.
there's all sorts of entities involved. Pasco County is 1/4 of this project. Heritage, as far as paying for it. Swift Mud is paying half of it. Heritage Pines is paying for or the residents of Heritage Pines through the CDD are paying 1/4 of it, and Pasco County is paying 1/4 of it. And if you did the math on your backflow preventer, $60 a year times all the homes in here in a year and a half, Pasco County makes all the money they gave us for the reclaimed water project back, and everything else is gravy. So, and that backflow preventer goes up every year too, and cost. I think it's $498 the first year. With they're so graciously not going to charge us for what we're not using. And then next year I think it's $506, and it has a graduated scale as it goes up. But they have a 2 million gallon tank dedicated to us right now, which is more than enough water. And as far as one of the big arguments we hear about reclaimed water is that, it's not safe to walk out there. I wouldn't drink the water, but they say it's almost in the potable state. They heavily treat it with chemicals to kill any bacteria that may be in it. Well, the problem we had before also with the reclaimed water system is that they were pumping it into the ponds. The ponds were fresh water that weren't treated, and they were growing all sorts of things. So the pumps were pumping out all the algae that was in there and into the lines, and your head gets clogged up, and you pull your head out, and it's got all sorts of really nice looking stuff growing in there.
And, yes, and because they were running the ponds dry, you were sucking up all of
Yeah.
that every night into the system, and it was going through.
It was self-cleaning.
Yeah, you're going to trade one set of problems with the wells, like the iron stains and all that, for another set of interesting things. It's not perfect, but it's different, and you'll find there are some plants that are less tolerant of it. You'll find that if it gets on glass or like your car or something, you get that kind of rainbow mirror looking thing, so you don't want to let it continually hit your cars, or if it gets on it, you want
Like
to wash it
acid
off.
rain.
So there's just some different things you want to watch, but they have improved the consistency and the ability, the quantities, so you shouldn't have the lack of it, which was the problem last time.
Are they gonna send us a list of what's good and what's bad?
You
What
can
It's
actually
on
go on the county website.
Pasco
The Pasco County website, they'll tell you which plants are
Laura
reclaimed water
Pelham's are
friendly.
really bad. There's some other ones, and we need to go in.
As far as rust treatment on your house, I tried CLR, which is, I consider probably the best product for removing it. It doesn't work.
There's a
But-
product that Sherwin-Williams.
But I've got, there's an alternative. Zep makes a product that sells for about $12 by the gallon, and you can spray it on there, and you don't have to do anything, and you come back a few hours later, and all the rust is gone.
Snow cap. Do you ever hear of snow
No
cap?
cap, just test it on your paint first, because if you
Yeah.
have darker colors, sometimes it affects it.
Oh, I know,
Well, that's what I
Most of the
did.
time,
I did it on
that's the best one, actually.
in an inconspicuous spot, and it didn't have any problem as far as discoloring, and so I sprayed it on the house where I had rust stains, and that is one thing, when the wells are gone, the rust will be gone with them. So, all righty,
Say,
One item on my management. I
Okay.
want to finish.
all right.
whatever happened to the residents that received letters regarding the painting of their homes?
That's an HP issue.
Not the, it's not us then,
No.
right? It's
Right.
their responsibility to
Correct, yes.
contact
The
them?
village can only enforce what's in the village documents, and that's not in the village documents, so we can't do anything about that.
So, you got a management issue?
No, I said I had one more item.
Okay, yeah, I remember you wanted to go
finish
backwards.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to say one thing. One thing, and well, I'll give you that in a second. I just want to read this. Throughout the many years at Pinecrest Village, I have always gone above and beyond to serve the community, its members, and the board. There have been many changes over the years in owners, vendors, and board of directors. It has always been my goal to provide excellent service and to make adjustments as needed and as things changed. I have worked through the developer transition, obtained substantial funds and restorative work on behalf of the association. I've facilitated changes in vendors, overseen several major projects like sod and wells, proposed and the proposing and approving of document changes. I worked closely with the attorney on collections, foreclosures, was able to help secure substantial payoffs on the homes that were foreclosed or sold via short sale. Perfection isn't something I can boast about, but I can confidently say that I've always tried to do my best for all the members of the association, and when something went wrong or needed to change, made the corrections and moved forward, learning and growing from the experience. There's only been one meeting since the election. There was a canceled meeting, and now today's meeting. I've had very little chance to work with most of the current board members since you were all recently elected. There have been no requests to change procedures or actions, and I have been in frequent communication and have been meeting with the board president. We have followed up on all requests and kept the board informed. It has come to my attention that the current board, or at least some board members, may not wish to continue our services. Should that be the case, kindly be direct and express that desire to me. There's no valid reason for cancellation under my contract due to non or poor performance. However, my reputation is far more important to me than a piece of paper. And if the board wishes to discontinue our services, then I'd rather end it amicably rather than have statements made, especially to others, in an attempt to validate the desired change. I understand there's a meeting scheduled for tomorrow to approve change of management. That's interesting since there's been no suggestion of dissatisfaction with current management services. There's been no opportunity to modify, adapt to any board requests. I would ask the current board members to cast a vote of confidence or no confidence, and we can move forward. So, thank you.
Okay.
You know, that's,
Good.
I also heard that there wasn't a management contract, but there is, and it was omitted from the book
Yeah.
because it's not kept where the other ones are. You can have a copy of that.
Okay.
But thank you.
Alrighty, with that being said, right now, I don't have a time frame for our next meeting other than the one tomorrow. And that one has been posted and we'll talk about that one tomorrow, but,
I should have been invited to, by, right. I should
and you're
have
welcome to
been
come.
invited to get one.
You're welcome to come, you're a community manager right now. The last one we went through, you sat in there on that one too, when we talked,
Well,
to
it's-
a variety of different ones.
It's a little late notice, and I wasn't invited, and I accidentally found out about it, and it's my birthday, so I don't even know what time it is, so.
Well, happy birthday in advance. Okay, so right now, we'll move forward with our meeting tomorrow, and we will set an agenda for a time for the next meeting. Again, because there's so little to do in the village now, the meetings are not set on a monthly basis. There's just not enough things to do on a monthly basis. With that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn? A second? All in favor? Meeting is adjourned.
So when will we set the next one?
We'll work it out. We can, and if something comes up right now, we'll have to discuss.
Welcome back.
You can get it.
Village extensions and a flag holder for the mailbox?
Yeah.
That's not very much. That's pretty simple stuff to do.
I mean, I know